Hello, I have had a chance to play the King's Dilemma Chronicles, and I've had fun with this game. It's a little outside of the type of games I would usually play, but I've enjoyed getting a chance to review it, and I'm actually going to be coming back to this one to play it a little in my spare time. If you've played the mobile game Reigns, where you're swiping left and right to make decisions for your kingdom, the setup of this game will be familiar to you, but being a PC game, this is much more fleshed out, a lot more to it. And I think it has some great art, some great music, interesting storylines, so let's dive in. Now, the main game loop in King's Dilemma is choosing events to resolve on your map. You have the world map, map of your kingdom, and map of your capital city. Picking one to resolve, and then playing through the narrative to see what happens. The writing is good, and these stories are interesting. I went through these fairly slowly, so that you'll have a chance to read through, what some of these narratives are. In this event, you're chasing down a paranormal witch or something that some peasants have been reporting. Then you come to a screen where you can choose which way to resolve this issue. You have on the left 3 main houses who will either vote for or against something, and you can overrule them, but there's a cost to it. You can vote along with them, and they will, support you more. And every decision has consequences. They're not always straightforward. If you remember Reigns, the bars on the right side, you have your wealth, welfare, knowledge, military power. They go up and down as you make decisions. It's not always immediately clear how that will play out. And the way the narrative shapes up from each of these events is interesting. There's some interesting twists, and you really have to think about it from an actual gameplay perspective, not just trying to metagame it. And your king can abdicate if you get too far out of line and make your people either too decadent or too unhappy. When the king abdicates or dies, you then get to choose your successor. Depending how well you do, you have more or less options. And you can also choose preparations in between reigns that let you prepare for this big endgame conflict that's coming. There are, I think, 10 different houses that you can be, maybe 12 different houses you can be. Each of them have their own narrative goals, so that gives some replayability to the game. Even though the developer says there are 300 plus events, so that should be quite a bit of playthrough time. Playing as a different house will give you some different goals to work toward. There are 6 main plot lines. You might have seen that eclipse screen earlier, tracks each of those plot lines, and that's kind of the countdown timer to your end game crisis. You can follow each of these plot lines, jump back and forth between them, trying to take a look at which resources in your kingdom are too high, too low, and try to guess the best way to deal with that. As you play through, this eclipse screen tracks your progress along the main quest lines and is that countdown to the big endgame rebellion. And this screen, you can see which way your different resources are going to move. That highlighted area is a bonus. If you keep them in that highlighted area, depending on which type of successor you pick, some want you to keep it to the extremes of the ends, others want you to keep them close together, others are all top or bottom. Some really interesting gameplay there to take what's really a pretty simple gameplay loop and saying yes or no, and add a lot of variety and interesting things to it. When your king is old, you get a coin toss to see if he lives or dies, and after that you get the king is dead screen. Very dramatic. I like the flair to it. And then you pick a new successor. You get to this king was a moderate, so it tells you the rewards you get. I do like the persistent rewards between runs, so it's not just repeating the same thing over and over. You can start to build and move your kingdom in one direction or another. It resets your sliders on the right. You get your rewards, and then you choose which kind of king you get next. I'm not sure exactly what all of these symbols mean, but it shows each one has a different highlighted area for where you want to keep your resource sliders, and that provides for some nice, interesting, diverse gameplay as you go through. All things considered, I'd say this game is a buy. My one holdup is that it is a little on the pricier side, I think. I think it's currently at $15. If it's on sale, definitely a buy. If this is the kind of game that you're into, I think it's still worth it. I think it's enjoyable. I do like the art style and the music in the game. And even though it's a little outside of what I usually play, I've enjoyed it. I think I'm going to come back to it. I've seen some reviews say it's in the 4 to 6 hour range to complete. I'm guessing that's just for 1 or 2 playthroughs. There's a lot more potential there with the different houses. I haven't made it all the way through yet, so I can't comment on my playtime. But I do plan on playing this game more in my free time, probably not on the channel because narrative games are a little hard to do a good playthrough of, but definitely for my own enjoyment, just in my downtime, I'll come back to this one. Thanks for watching. Please drop a comment if you have any thoughts on it, and I look forward to seeing you again. Have a good one.